Friends, it is so good to be back with you. I couldn't begin an honest sermon without saying that. On Friday night, we had our first middle school and high school youth group gathering of the year, and this sanctuary became a hide-and-seek stadium again. There was masked laughter and some screams in the empty church. A couple of our service corps interns stopped by and were perhaps startled by the high energy in an empty sanctuary. So to be alive again in this place is deeply special. So with that acknowledgement, let us pray together. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, Spirit of life and maker of the trees. Amen. So anthropologist Margaret Mead was once asked, what was the first sign of civilization? Mead, an early 20th century researcher, had an interesting response to the commencement of humanity. A lot of other research suggested that a hunting tool or hieroglyphics were signs that humans were beginning to build relation with each other in a civilized way. But Mead said that the first sign of civilization came from an archaeological site 15,000 years ago. And she said that that first sign was a broken femur bone in a skeleton that had been healed. In the animal world, if you break a leg, you die, Mead said. You are left unhealed. But this particular skeleton illustrated that there must have been another human that cared for this wounded person long enough for a femur, that large one on your leg, to heal. Someone must have provided food, shelter, drink over an extended period of time, which allowed this healing to happen, and that was what marked a shift. In each one of our gospel stories this morning, there is a common word: compassion. The Spirit of Life hymn, which we are also singing, highlights this important phrase: sing in my heart all of the stirrings of compassion. Move in the hand and give life the shape of justice, the hymn writer writes. And there are many words, friends, that describe our Christian teaching: peace, forgiveness, hope. In our Westmoreland vernacular, we say spirit and truth and love, but there may be no other better description of the life and ministry of Jesus of Nazareth other than the word compassion. The etymology of the word exposes its roots: with, passion, suffer. Compassion is to suffer with, and it is perhaps the first special skill on Jesus' resume. The type of suffering that Jesus experienced is usually thought about in terms of his crucifixion, a bloody suffering that we often don't talk about in our pristine sanctuary. But there is another kind of suffering that Jesus feels throughout his whole life. And in fact, that suffering is usually the catalyst for most of his miracles. The feeling of compassion is the fuel that allows the healing of God to come into the world. In each one of the stories we heard this morning, Jesus is called into action because he is impacted by compassion. In Matthew, Jesus is actually leaving Jericho. He's heading out of town when he hears the cries of the blind men, and he has compassion for them. He takes his 2 feet and he stops, and then he stretches out his hands and physically touches their eyes and heals them. In Mark, Jesus has compassion on the people because they are hungry. Their stomachs are empty, and he invites them to rest their weary legs and uses his hands to grab those loaves of breads and fill empty stomachs of 4,000. In Luke, Jesus has compassion for the mourning widow and then moves his body towards the casket and raises the dead. In each one of these stories, there is that word compassion, but there's also a second aspect that they share in common, and that is the physical movement of Jesus that follows compassion. The physical trajectory of Jesus' path is changed. He moves his body to touch hands and to touch caskets and to multiply bread. Jesus moves. There is motion. Compassion is not just the stirring in the heart, but it is a catalyst for movement. Christian scholars Walter Brueggemann and Bob Maddox are careful to say that the early church are not dogmatically structured denominations or things that happen in brick buildings, but are a Jesus movement. The early followers of Christ were followers of the way, the path. They were moving together somewhere. At its core, motion is what our religion is calling us to do. And this motion involves not just our spirits and not just our minds or our hearts, but our tangible, physical, fleshy bodies. Our bodies have been apart from each other for so long. And the bodies of so many are currently so sick. And the bodies of so many are enduring deep trauma and pain because there are power structures in our society that prioritize some bodies over other bodies. White bodies over black and brown bodies, male bodies over female or non-binary bodies, straight cis presenting bodies over trans and queer bodies. It is a central value of our Christian faith that Jesus had a body just like you and me, and therefore as Christians it is our call to honor and protect and heal the sacredness of every body because of its inherently divine worth. Margaret Mead's analysis of humanity, starting because one person stopped and recognized that another body was in pain, is not far from Jesus creating a movement of people who also stop their bodies and care for one another when there is suffering. So perhaps the thing that makes us human is also the same thing that makes us divine. That motion of our lives when we decide to go and stop can be fueled by many things. It can be fueled by the capitalistic urgency to secure fiscal means. It can be influenced by the trauma that we hold in our bodies, our fight, flight, freeze response, or our movement every day can be influenced by compassion. We can make the decision within ourselves that to acknowledge the suffering of other bodies and the pain within our own bodies is our holy and daily call. This makes compassion not an intellectual concept, but a tangible compass for the movement of our bodies. It is saying that my pain is your pain, and God's pain is the world's pain, and when we move towards each other to sit in that murky mess together, there is healing present. And we can heal each other with the help of the Spirit. We can heal our political structures. We can heal our relationships. We can heal our own bodies if we understand that it is motion that gets us there. When is the last time that the suffering of another has moved you to act differently? Not just think differently or speak differently, but do something different with your body. This was Jesus moving towards the coffin, reaching out for the loaves and the fishes, using his hands to heal. Take a look at your hands, friends. You're fleshy, maybe sweaty, maybe wrinkled, maybe over-sanitized hands. And lift them up. Move them to wave at the people around you who are happy to see you this morning. Wave at those hands that will carry the jars of peanut butter from some at the end of the month. Wave at the hands on our live stream that are also at home, knowing that our hands are also holding pain and unseen grief. And if we put our hands on our laps and maybe lift them up towards each other and towards God around us, we can practice moving our bodies differently because of the other people around us. We can practice letting a moment of joy or pain be shared. Julian of Norwich, one of my favorite mystical figures, said many years ago that if there is anywhere a lover of God who is always kept safe, I know nothing of it, for it was not shown to me. The call of our faith is not to be kept from pain. But Julian continues to say that what has been shown is that in the rising and falling, we are kept in God's same precious love. Beloved friends, in the sharing of suffering, we are kept in God's love. So let us move forward towards each other, share that burden of healing, and move each day with compassion. So may it be. Amen.